Hey guys, Livvy here. Welcome back to the channel. In my last video, I mentioned that I am getting a new kitchen soon, which is really exciting, but I want to go through my cupboard and get rid of the stuff that I don't need so that when I am planning how I'm going to lay out or just put all my stuff away in this new kitchen, that I'm putting things that actually I want in there versus things I've just collected over the years. So today's plan. I went shopping yesterday. I have a proper meal plan for all of the dinners for this week. But I know in there I've got some extra stuff that I probably can make some snacks with. And I'm also thinking maybe we'll do dessert tonight. Not that particularly we need it, but I have some stuff in there that I know I could use up. So I'm just going to go in there, probably give you a little look of the chaos that we're about to try to find anything in, and then kind of pull out everything that I think I'm going to need and kind of hope for the best. But let me show you it first. This is what I'm working with. These 3 shelves are pretty much dedicated to all the pantry items that I collect. A lot of down here is things like pantry staples. We got some oats in the back, some sugar and stuff, a lot of my oils and vinegars. Here is like my baking section. I don't actually have an oven and I haven't for 2 years. I still collect stuff. And then I've got like my herbs and spices and then kind of my canned goods. And I want to go through it so that I can, first of all, just make sense of it all. But I've got a couple of things that I want to do for dinner this week and some snacks. So let's kind of, oh yeah, we got a whole bunch of jelly here. So let's kind of go through this and see what we can come up with. So I have my little helper here who is just kind of taking things that I'm handing him and putting them on the counter for me. But I'm just going through and picking out whatever I think sounds good. Some of this stuff I don't actually use in any of the cooking today, but it's so much easier when you have everything laid out in front of you to really get an idea. Now, these protein bowls I've made a million times before. I know what kind of flavor combinations and things that we like, so I just grabbed a bunch of jars. And some of the stuff like pantry items, I'm not necessarily trying to get rid of them, but I do need them for some of the recipes. So I just throw everything out here and then I will show you everything that I got. Oh, and I did pull some stuff out of the fridge too, which I will walk you through. This is everything that we've pulled from the pantry that we think potentially we'll need. Also a couple things from the fridge. Over here, we'll start here in this little spot here. I have so many peanut butters and almond butters. What is this one? Crunchy almond. This is almond, Brazil nuts, and cashew butter. This is a chuck berry butter. I have some flaxseed, white chia seeds, and some hemp. This I'm thinking for our energy bowls, along with the oats at the back there, but I need the oats for a couple of things. Now I also have these peach slices in syrup. I don't have any more canned fruit, and I don't foresee myself needing that anytime soon. I've got a little bit of like jams and stuff that I've made during the, like I've canned myself. And I've got some custard powder here with the oats and brown sugar, which these are just like pantry staples. I don't necessarily have to get rid of them from my pantry, but I'm going to use them. Oh, good job. So I'm thinking we might make a dessert of like some peach cobbler or something, which, yum. And I will use the custard powder because I don't have a heap of it left. And I've got another container, like pack of it in the cupboard that I really want to use up. And over here is everything that we're going to be doing with our porcupine meatballs. Yeah, we need a whole bunch of stuff, don't we? So what we've got... Oh, okay. We need all that stuff. So I have salt, paprika, Italian herbs, onion powder, although I am going to actually add in an onion and some garlic, but you know, just we'll add this extra garlic ground. Some Worcestershire sauce. I don't think that's going to be enough, so I pulled out my other one that I just bought. I thought I had normal breadcrumbs, but I cannot find it, so I might add panko. We'll see. And in here I have some leftover quinoa, some leftover rice, the actual mince that it's all going into, and a bit of chicken stock, which I'm not sure if I'm going to put that into the porcupines or if I'm going to make a sauce from it. I don't know. But this is kind of what we've pulled from mostly the cupboard, which is pretty good, except a few things here. All of this is from my cupboard, and if I can get rid of some of this, I mean, some of my herbs, they'll stick around, but things like some of these jars. Fingers crossed, that'd be amazing. So I think I would like my porcupines to be sitting in my fridge for a bit before we do anything with them. So I might start with this, and then we might pivot to this one, because this one pretty much, I don't know. We'll just see. We're just going to start with the porcupines and see how it goes. I've got my little helper. We'll see if he pops in and out. This, I'm making up this recipe. I grew up with porcupines. My mom would make it. It was delicious. I loved it. But we're just going to throw something together and hope for the best. This is where I'm going to put everything. I'm going to chop up my onions, some of my garlic, and then I'm just going to start piling stuff in there. And it might be more grains than meat, but I don't care. I think it will still be yum. So we're just going to start going for it. So I'm just chopping up an onion to put in these meatballs. I kind of wish that I had cut them a little bit finer, but I tend to prefer the food processor to do that. But I use a food processor for the protein balls, and I didn't really want that to have an onion flavor, and I didn't really want to do any dishes because this is a lot of effort for me. So I chopped them up, not as fine as I wanted to, and then I pressed some garlic into there as well, and there was a little bit of garlic left over that I just minced and threw in. Now, I am using a short grain rice in this instead of a long grain rice, and that's just me putting the pork in and the quinoa, but it had some seasoning in it, some Japanese seasoning, which is great, but it kind of was too small. It didn't make it really like a porcupine, more of a meatball. I added my seasonings, my salt, that's paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, the last of that Worcestershire sauce. I didn't end up using any more. Now, I didn't add the breadcrumbs, and because of that, I was worried that it might not stick and hold together as a meatball, so I just used one of my eggs I just pulled from the chicken coop and mixed it with my hand. But afterwards, I rolled them out, and I didn't count or have any idea of how many I would make. I was just kind of going as much as I could get from this small batch is what I will end up with. In the end, I didn't actually use the panko breadcrumbs, but I did use one egg just to bind them. So I've made a heap of them. I will probably use like half, and I'll package half, but I'm going to freeze all of them. Well, not freeze them. I'm going to set them all in the fridge first and then figure, do I cook them all and then freeze half of them, or do I just freeze the raw ones? I haven't decided, but I will put these away at least to set a little bit and also to dry out a little bit. So they're going to be in the fridge, and I will pack away just this extra stuff. I will make a sauce from this. I didn't end up using the chicken stock, but I will do like a gravy from it. So I'll make that later tonight, closer to, because if I make it now, it will get gross. So that I'll make closer to, and I will restock my paprika here because I didn't realize that I was empty. Not that you can really tell too much, but I have a giant thing of paprika here that I can fill it with, and hopefully that will be all of that. But yes, I'm gonna fix this up and then I will bring you back in a second. So I start working on these protein bowls. I just add flaxseed, chia seeds, hemp. I do not measure anything. I use the last of the almond butter that I had in this one container, mix it up and realize that it's still a bit dry. It needs something more. So I add in that ABC, which is the almond, Brazil nuts, and cashew butter. And I also add a little bit of maple syrup just as a sweetener. And I think it comes out pretty nice. The texture of this is pretty on it. I'll just show you in a second what it looks like. See, it's really holding its shape really nicely. Everything looks like it's mixed in pretty well, and it's moist. It's not falling apart. There's no dry bits. That's how you know it's good. And if you find that it's still a bit dry, you can always add a touch of water. But I had the boys start working on that while I worked on the next batch, which I used the rest of that ABC butter, and I just added some oats. I found some oat flour in my cupboard, so I used that. More of the flaxseed, chia seeds, a bit of maple syrup. I added probably a little bit too much water in this, so I found it a bit watery. If that happens, just add more oats. Final thing that we're making today, and I'm doing all the prep work now. I still have to actually make dinner, but I've done most of the prep, which is good. I am going to make a peach cobbler, and I'm going to make it with this. This is a silicone tray that goes into your air fryer because I don't have an oven. So we're going to air fry it. Again, I'm just making this off the top of my head because I kind of already know how to make it. So we're just going to use the last of these peaches. The boys are making the bowls. I think half of them are ending up in their mouth, which I'm totally fine with. There's a lot of protein and nut butter in that, so I'm totally fine with that. But we're going to start working on this cobbler. I'm not cooking the cobbler until later on. But I will cook the custard now because I want that to cool down. So let's just kind of figure this out. I just add in the can of peaches. There's a little bit of syrup. I drained most of it, but I didn't really want it to be too sweet. So I add some cornstarch. That's kind of going to create the syrup that I want without too much sugar. And then I melt, maybe 2 tablespoons of butter. It's dairy-free butter. Add some brown sugar, oats, flour. Like I said, I'm not measuring anything. I top it up a bit more flour, a bit more oats, vanilla essence, a little bit of salt. And then I just keep mixing that until I'm thinking everything is combined and just add it on top. That's so easy to do. I'll pop that in the air fryer for probably about 20 minutes and I will make custard. But I got rid of my can of my canned peaches. So that's actually really good. Pretty pleased. All right, so we went through my cupboard. We picked out a whole bunch of stuff. We've used it. We've made the meatballs, which we used a bunch of spices and seasonings for that. We've made the energy balls, which we used a bunch of like peanut butter and nut butters and stuff. Fantastic. I've pulled out 3 containers from that one, which was 2 peanut butter jars, cashew butter, and then 1 container of crushed up essentially oat flour. And then I also made the cobbler, which was one of the jars of peaches, which is fantastic. So this is what it looks like now. No, you cannot tell there's a huge difference, but I did move things around. So previously, a lot more convoluted down here, but I've freed up space here. So I added a bunch of the pastas that were just hanging out there. We're having pasta this week to get rid of a lot of this stuff. We're gonna be using up a bunch of these cans this week, and that is going to make this even smaller. So that hopefully will help clear this out and give me a better idea of what's in here, what I can use, and how to use it. A bit later in the day now, in fact, it's coming up to nearly 5 o'clock, and I want to get the potatoes started. I thought about how I want to do these meatballs, and I think I'm going to air fry them. So we're going to do a couple of them, see how that goes, and if it goes really well, then I'll air fry all of them and package the extra ones into the freezer for another day. So fingers crossed that goes well. But then I also need the air fryer out anyway for the cobbler that I've made, cobbler, crumble, whatever. I've made dessert. And then I need to do the custard powder. And I'm thinking I should probably do that custard first because it needs to cool in the fridge, but the potatoes are going to take a while anyway to cook, so I don't know. And then I need to prep a veggie. And so I've already done all of the balls. The boys ate probably more than they packaged up or rolled up. So I have put them in the freezer. I finished them off and I will show you what they look like. Let's first chop some potatoes. I will get them started and then I think we'll work on the custard. I think that's how I'm going to do it. I also still need to make the gravy for the meatballs. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cook the meatball first, taste it, and then kind of come up, should I do more of a white gravy or should I do like a dark gravy? Because I've got gravy powder in that cupboard, which again, just using up everything from that cupboard would be a really good idea. So I don't know, I'm going to play it by ear. That's kind of how I always do dinner. For mashed potato, I don't bother peeling my potatoes. I just make sure that everything's washed and clean. And I just chop it all up into somewhat equal sizes. I know that if they were proper equal that they would actually cook better, but I don't know. I've made so much mashed potato over the years that I just kind of throw it all together. I know what works. And I don't even know how many potatoes I use. I just fill the pot and hope for the best. If I have leftovers, perfect. It will be great for tomorrow. This custard powder that I'm using is something that I just buy at the store. I don't remember specifically why I did and why I have another container of it still in my cupboard. So I want to use a bunch of this and then maybe consolidate it all into one. Or maybe just get this container back. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I've got here how much you need for how much milk and sugar and all that. I'm not going to follow those directions. I'm going to do what I want. Now, I'm going to use a soy milk. Works perfectly fine. I've never had a problem with it. I'm not going to add too much sugar to it because I will be adding it to something sweet already, so it doesn't need to be super sweet. I know some people put an egg in it, which I think that if you're making it from scratch, that an egg's kind of how you go, but I'm not making it from scratch. I'm making it from powder, which I don't really want to have powder. I think I want to have it where I know how to make custard. I have made custard previously with like eggs and milk and all that, and it was awesome and I loved it. It's so much better than this stuff, but I do need to use this one up. I don't want it in my cupboard anymore, so we're gonna do what we want. Don't follow me, follow the recipe, which I'll put it just here for you so that you can actually see. So it's actually 2 tablespoons to 2 cups of milk and 2 tablespoons of sugar. Look at that. I know it. I'm not going to follow it. To start this off, I get, I don't even know how many tablespoons of custard powder I used in the end. And then I put a little bit of soy milk in, dissolved that, and then added more soy milk and maple syrup. I added some thickened plant cream. So it's a dairy-free cream. I use it like I use normal whipping cream. I think it's just, don't notice a huge difference. And since my husband is dairy-free, it's just easier to make like a dessert that's completely dairy-free that everybody can enjoy versus like 2 different types of custard. In the end, this custard was pretty lumpy, and that's partially because I was doing other things at the same time as this. I was actually prepping the vegetables. If I had babied this a little bit more and kept probably consistently stirring it, I would have not had the lumps, but that was really, it's not even a textural thing. It's just more of an aesthetic, and my kids and my husband do not care. It was really, really tasty. I think it came together really, really nicely. Now, I wish that I'd added all my thickened cream all at once rather than like mixing it for a while. When it started thickening, adding a little bit more. I just don't think I needed that. I think it just worked perfectly fine without it. But the maple syrup is my preference when it comes to custard powder. I just think the custard flavor with maple syrup is really, really good. Now, I've made normal custard powder, like with eggs, from scratch. Really easy to do, which is probably why I won't buy custard powder in the future. This is more of a convenience item, and I just I don't know why I have so much of it in my cupboard. Maybe because it's dairy-free, and if I do desserts or we go somewhere, it's just really easy to bring custard really quick. But I'm hoping to probably not stock it in my cupboard anymore. I just put it in a container, and then I pop this in the fridge for about an hour. I think that's how long between me cooking this and me actually eating it. If you were making this fancy for people, I would probably put like plastic wrap or cling film against it so that it doesn't create a film. But when I pull this out of the fridge, I just mix it all in. I did add a little bit more maple syrup when I was serving it, just because it was a little bit not sweet enough, I think, because I used so much of it. But otherwise, it was really delicious, and I had no complaints. For vegetables, I used asparagus and my absolute favorite, which is Brussels sprouts. So I just steam the asparagus, but for the Brussels sprouts, I'm going to roast them in the air fryer. Now, I'm not roasting these at the same time as I am doing the meatballs, and that's because I think the meatballs needed a little bit longer. So the original plan was I'll cook the meatballs and then I'll cook the Brussels sprouts in probably a less time, and they'll turn out perfect. These are really small Brussels sprouts, which is why I'm only halving them. And then I covered them in some avocado oil, a little bit of garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and I think that's it, actually, maybe a bit of pepper, but they really don't need a heap of seasonings. I grew up where my mum would boil Brussels sprouts, so I didn't love it, but as an adult, I have come to I just absolutely adore them. I'm a big fan of brassicas, which I've mentioned previously. So this is my favorite time of the year where I just get to eat so much, like my weight in broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts. And this is just me seasoning it. That's why I put it in here. I put it in this container because this is the last thing I plan on cooking for dinner. And so I wanted it pretty much prepped because by the time that I'm ready to throw this in the air fryer, I just want it ready. I don't want to think about, I've got to quick put the Brussels sprouts together. There's so many different components to this that I just wanted to make my life a little bit easier. And so this was the way to go. We're going to cook these, roast these, and we will steam them, and that will be good. I think that's everything, but I need to pull out the air fryer right now. I use an Instant Pot as my air fryer. I have the air fryer attachment here. I quite like it, quite happy with it, all in one. So all the side is the Instant Pot side, and then all this side is the air fryer side. So I'm gonna air fry the meatballs, but then I'm gonna try and roast the Brussels sprouts. So we will see how this goes. So I have this little basket in here. That's the air fryer basket. So I have this little insert that goes inside, and so I can do 2 levels. So I'm just going to spray the inside first to kind of make sure that it's nice lubricated up. So I'm going to use my spray bottle. This is just avocado oil at the bottom here, just to spray that, and then I'll spray the top when I do that. The meatballs were really, really easy, to be honest. I just popped them in the air fryer. I cooked them for 15 minutes at 180 degrees. And while that was going on, I thought this is the perfect time to prep the mashed potatoes. So, mashed potatoes, I got some rosemary from my garden and I chopped that up. And then I added some more of that plant cream because I have a whole bunch of it in my freezer, a bit of salt, and then I just mashed it up. Usually I would add butter, but I have found that if I add the cream and then salt it to taste, then it works perfectly fine. And that rosemary was so good. So the meatballs are done by this time, and so I just pulled them out. They came out really nice. A couple of them did not come out really easy, but that's not a big problem. I just snacked on them as I was prepping the rest of dinner, which is how I knew they were so delicious. I was actually impressed. I thought more of them would fall apart, but maybe it was that eggs that just really made a difference. And so originally the plan was to do the Brussels sprouts separate, but I threw it all together because by now I was so hungry. So yeah, this is how the meatballs turned out. A couple smushed, but no big deal. The rest of them were just so delicious. Honestly, oh, these are the best meatballs I've ever made. For plating, really simple, kept it really just easy. Bit of mashed potatoes, 2 meatballs for my kids, a little bit of Brussels sprouts, and then I covered it with gravy. The gravy was really watery. It was just from a gravy mix. This is it without gravy. And then I gave it to the kids with gravy and they started eating. And then for my husband, I actually put the gravy on the table so he could add what he wanted. And I added asparagus and more meatballs and vegetables for us, which honestly, totally delicious. Probably the best meal I've made in the last 3 months, but that's not saying much. I haven't cooked much in the last 3 months. To do the crumble, really straightforward. I put the second layer on and I popped it in the air fryer, but I got this fancy little bake option and I put it in for about 20 minutes, which was probably actually the perfect amount of time, but it is on 160. It's not on 180, it's just on 160. And then I finished plating my dinner, which I'm not going to lie, I went back for seconds of all of the vegetables, especially with the gravy. It was really watery, but honestly, it was so perfect. And this was my meal. Alrighty then, so I have finished potentially this cobbler. So if you can see that, that is all finished. It looks nice and hot. And let us start serving that out. So for the boys, I kept it pretty darn simple. I just did a couple of spoonfuls of the crumble, made sure that they had plenty of peaches and topping. It wasn't a very sweet crumble, which was really good because I don't think we need that much sugar this late at night, but I did give them a little bit of ice cream in saying that. They did ask for some boysenberry ice cream and custard, and I didn't even realize I had boysenberry ice cream in the freezer, so I let them have that, gave them a little bit of custard. But for my husband who's dairy-free, I didn't have any dairy-free ice cream in the freezer, which is actually partially the reason I made the custard. It was why I was inspired because I thought, oh, well, this would go really well with the crumble because we don't have any ice cream. So I made sure that I gave him plenty of crumble, and then I made sure I also gave him plenty of the custard. And no one had any complaints about the lumps. I noticed it because I was the one making it and dealing with it. But I think they all just assumed it was part of it, and it was mega delicious. I'm really pleased with this. Dishes are done, food's packed away, kids are in bed, the washing machine is going, and I'm about to get the dishwasher going. So tonight was very successful. I'm actually surprised at how much I managed to accomplish, how much I managed to use of my cupboard, just how well things turned out. Not exactly as I planned, but you know, that's still pretty good. The dinner tonight was really good, actually. It was probably one of my best. Now, the rice that I added had a bit of like Japanese seasoning in it, and I think that that was like a big game changer because you guys saw the seasonings I added to it. But that Japanese style was perfect with a bit of like a gravy I did. Perfect. I'm glad I went with that really thin gravy versus like a thicker white one, which I was thinking. They turned out more like meatballs than they did porcupines, but that's totally fine. They were so delicious, in fact, that my eldest son, who is I'd say my pickiest eater and quite the food critic, he demanded that I have it for tomorrow for him. So I've actually packed away a small container. It's Friday night, so he can have that tomorrow night for dinner and we can eat whatever leftovers I've got. There are not as many meatballs left over as I thought there would be, which is totally fine with me. I think next time I will double that recipe. So I filled it with so much stuff, I felt like the meatballs went really far, but still not enough for these kids. So definitely next time. I think it's worth it. I can cook them all, freeze extra, and then I don't have to worry about it next time. But yes, I will do that for next time. Everything else turned out great. Really enjoyed the cobbler that I made. Cobbler crumble, whatever. The peach cobbler crumble was delicious. It was not as sweet as I would usually make it, which I'm trying to be a little bit better. A lot of the sweetness from the peaches came through, which was really good. Really happy with that. The custard was kind of a bit lumpy, but I did wing it a little bit, so I'm not too concerned about that. It was still delicious. I used the maple syrup. I really liked that flavor. It felt like it was a little bit like a gentle sweetness versus sometimes like the pow that you can get from a custard. So really, really pleased with that. I need to still pack up the balls that I made, like the energy balls. My sons ate more than they rolled, so I ended up rolling them myself, which is totally fine. I'm just gonna bag them, put them in the freezer, mark down when I made them and what they are, and people can just grab them. My son's school is a no nut school, so he can't take them with him for school snacks, but that's totally fine. He can have them when he comes home after school or when we're out and about on the weekend. Otherwise, a very successful cooking period. I do not always hit it. But tonight I hit it, and especially it's really good after being sick for so long, finally cooking, feeling like I accomplished a lot. My kitchen is clean. I just need to pack the air fryer away and the last of the meatballs and the energy balls, and I'm done. So I'll show you the last of it, but thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like the content, make sure to click the thumbs up button. Make sure to subscribe, comment, whatever, totally fine. I will be coming out with plenty of content, so definitely worth hitting that subscribe because there's more stuff coming. But really appreciate it, and I will catch you guys on the next one.